Hey everybody, coming at you with another discussion, sort of showing you the deck, just because this is the only kind of, I don't have a physical copy as of currently, I only have the Dev Pro one. If you call it Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I don't know, it's up to you. Anyway, Traptrix. With the standard motif of this, we're going to go with how the deck plays in and of itself first. How the deck plays is mainly, for the most part, reducing your opponent's resources and patience. What I mean by reducing the opponent's resources is the various trap holes, the various mirror forces, the various Regeki, the MSTs, the Book of Moon, the Compulse, the Vanity, the Fiendish. You want to make sure that by turn like 5 or 6, they can't do anything to stop your plays, but they can't do anything to get theirs to go off. Because by turn 5 or 6, half of their deck is gone because of the resources they've wasted and because of how you've played the deck. The second part of what I said is patience. You have to wait to make your plays. If you are not one of those people, I suggest you look up a different kind of deck profile maybe, or, you know, unless you want to learn the patience for Traptrix. This is, for the most part, pure Traptrix anyway, aside from a tech card too. Next, we're going to talk about strategy. Strategizing is key in this deck. You gotta know what to search, when to search it, timing, when to make your plays, when not to make your plays, how to shut your opponent's plays down, how to beat the meta. Because this deck is very anti-meta. That's what a lot of people will, refer to it as. Traptrix in and of themselves is anti-meta, which is why they're teched into half of the anti-meta decks in most of the formats. Next, we're going to talk about timing. You have to know the specific timing that'll allow your Traptrix, or your trap holes rather, to go off without missing timing, without getting negated. Really, you have to know when's the right time to play Void or just Trap Hole or Bottomless or Nightmare. You gotta know. It's one of those things that if you don't, it ends really badly for you, because if you miss timing or you can't get the timing and you let their play go off, it's the difference between winning and losing a duel potentially. Next, we're going to talk about matchups. This deck has a great matchup side one. Half the time people aren't expecting pure Traptrix, or any Traptrix at all for that matter, and it's a very anti-meta deck, so regardless of what you're playing, if you're playing the meta, if you're playing a rogue anti-meta deck, most of the time, you're like, with most of the decks, or with most of the duels I play, like 8 out of 10 duels, I win the first game. It's just how the deck runs. Game 2 and 3 depend probably 75% on your side deck, which is why you make the side deck against specific meta decks, against locals, against regionals, wherever it is you play, wherever it is you want to play, etc., etc. And know what to side for what opponent. Once you get that down, you'll win most of your matches. This is a deck that, in and of itself, without any hand artifacts in the main deck, can probably top your locals top 4, or top 2 if you play it right, and the other 3 people don't want to split. Moving on, we have the patience. I'm sorry, not patience. Knowing your deck's weakness. There's a deck out there called Magispectors. If you look it up and read the effects, you'll realize that most of the cards in this deck don't affect those. If it can't be targeted or affected by card effects, this deck has a weakness. And that is one of its only weaknesses, aside from a rogue Royal Decree and you don't have an MST in hand, or you can't special the Mermelio, or anything like that. Or they just play like some kind of crazy deck that goes, nope, you can't have back row. I don't know. Know the deck's weaknesses before you jump into your locals and goes, yeah, I got this, with no side deck. Now we're going to talk about patience. Patience is one of the most important things in running this deck because of the wasting your opponent's resources and all that. You have to wait until they're low on resources, or wait until they're low enough on resources that you don't have to worry about your plays being stopped, or your monsters getting killed, or your opponent making a sudden comeback because you decided not to use the MST on the one back row and went, it's just one back row. because that back row is probably Mirror Force. I don't know. Patience is probably one of the hardest things to use in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're not playing like YCS level or anything like that, because patience is not something a lot of people have nowadays. You want to get your plays off as quickly as possible in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you want to get the match as quickly as possible, which is why this deck is so hard to play for some people, because you have to wait so long, and you worry about missing your opportunity, you worry about missing your shot at winning, and all that. The deck runs around wasting resources for your opponent first and foremost. Once you can do that, then you can make your plays. Moving on, we're going to knowing timing and knowing your Xyz. First, we're going to talk about timing. If you do not know the timing for the specific trap hole card you're using, look it up before the tournament. Look it up before a match. Study these things. Just look it up in general. It'll be the difference between losing or winning in some cases, because if you can't get the timing on a bottomless for the Necros Bionic, you lose. Or if you can't get the timing for Trap Hole Nightmare for a card that you didn't read, you lose. Or if you activate the Fiendish and they bounce their monster, or, you know, so many things go into it. One of the key things people end up doing misplaying in this is activating Vanities and then chaining a card that would say Compulse. Compulse resolves first, but the Vanities is still face up. So when the Vanities resolves, Vanities leaves, because a card left the field, etc., etc. Knowing your Xyz. There are a lot of expensive Xyz in this, like Exciton, Silent Honors, Diamond, Deltros, Abyss Dweller. If you can't get those cards, I implore you to try one by one picking one of them up, or playing even just one of them and having the rest of your side deck be, or extra deck be, almost complete trash. But as long as you have a stable extra deck that you can use, as long as you have things that you know will get the meta and get everyone, you don't have to worry about it that much. But this deck relies heavily on making those Xyz late game. Don't make a Exciton first turn and expect to win the duel. It's just, make an Exciton halfway through the duel when they still have resources and you don't, and blow up the field and nuke the board, win the game because you've wasted the rest of their resources and you have an Exciton on board. Most of the stuff thereafter, like Digesto Emerald, just so you don't run out of resources. Ouroboros, because why not? Giant Hand, because resources. Castel, because why not? You know, half of this could very easily be teched out. One card I want to point out specifically is this card. I'm going to go ahead and let you read the effect. Like, I'm going to hold it there so you can read the effect. This card will probably put this deck up even higher than it already goes because of the effects. This comes out in, I believe, Dimension of Chaos. This card will break this deck. And I'm probably over-exaggerating a little, but this card is crazy. This card is crazy good. Anyway, moving on. Now we're going to talk about your side deck. There are some things like Shadow Imprisoning, Light Imprisoning, Imperial. Those are for the current meta. You can change those for whatever meta you're using this deck for. You can use that for whatever you play at your locals. The side deck, though, the key thing to know about your side deck is what to side for what deck that you're playing game 2 or 3. If you don't need to side anything game 2, cool. If you see them siding at all for game 2, side. I don't care if they side a single card. That card could probably be a Royal Decree that'll just destroy you. And unless you have, I believe it's, yeah, Atrax, then you can't activate anything. Know your side, know your meta, know your extra, know your deck, know timing, know, you gotta be patient, know strategies, know your combos, know what you can and can't get away with. This deck is very, very, very strategy oriented in play. You have to basically be like a sniper sometimes. You have to snipe that D-Prison, you have to snipe that with your MSTs, you gotta snipe down that monster with a bottomless, you gotta make sure that Bryonic doesn't get its effect off, you gotta make sure you let them swing into your Mirror Force, you fiendish that Jin. Go away. But yeah, I ignore that. For the most part, this deck is really, really key on strategy and patience. Anyway, as far as, and the motif of finishing off the deck profiles is competitive ranking. Game 1, this probably has an 8. Game 2, depending on how you side and what you're playing, either a 7 or a 9. And when this card comes out, I would be willing to put this deck's competitive ranking at a 9.5 overall, because of how amazing one Xyz is and how it can't really, as long as it has Xyz material, you can't do anything to it. So anyway, that's this deck. This is the deck I am quickly learning to love, second only to Traptrix, because those are my baby boos forever. If you would like to know anything else, if you want to tell me things, if I said something in the video that was wrong or that could be adjusted, if there's anything in this deck that you see that could be changed, there's a comment section. Give me everything you want to know. I am game for all kinds of enthusiastic critique and comments and opinions and ideas and, you know, deck tips, whatever. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you don't. It's you. Subscribe if you really want to, because I'm going to be pumping out videos here in a couple days with deck profiles and probably more deck discussions and upcoming packs once the lists come out. Anyway, this is running a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, but you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next video, and Traptrix.